Hey everybody, and welcome back to Sonder Media. Today we're here with the architect of the Miami Sound. If you've ever been to a party, wedding, or cruising with the windows down, you've heard their music everywhere. This is Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band. How are we doing today, Casey?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing quite well, quite well. So, one thing I've always wanted to wonder and wondered and thought was that, I'm coming from Hialeah, I'm coming from Miami, and to think that like you guys were coming up in this area back in the 60s, 70s time, what was the main thing that drove you guys to start music in that area?
Well, I mean, it was just me really. It was I wasn't really in the band in a band. And I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a musical family, and that's all my dreams ever were. All that ever was in my head was to want to be an entertainer. And I love music. My mother loved music, and my mother's sisters used to do commercials, local radio commercials and stuff. And of course, I had some cousins that were making music and stuff. So I was just really always around it. There was a piano in everybody's home, and it just was just a natural thing for me, actually.
It's awesome. I've heard in some past interviews that part of the reason why you wanted to start your guys' first album was that you would hear a lot of upbeat songs, and then you would buy the album, and you'd start to see a lot of ballads, and you wanted to be a bit more in the upbeat side of things. So, how
Yeah,
did that translate, you think?
I mean, I felt like, I mean, the other thing that was happening, I felt, I mean, I've been writing all my life, and I did always love up-tempo stuff, and had an issue with like buying an album and then was 80% slow stuff on it. I just felt music had gotten really dark around that time, and I just wanted to, make something that just was high energy, just a little bit more uplifting and stuff like that. So I really concentrated on that, and I didn't want any ballads on the album. I just wanted it to be all up tempo, mid tempo stuff, and side A to side B.
And do you think that being in Miami at this time, 70s was very groovy and whatnot, kind of influenced that? Or do you think that was more from your cultural backgrounds and how your family was already?
I think it was just I don't know if it had much to do with Miami, as much as it just had to do with what was in my own head, really. Um, I just I mean, Miami definitely would get different music, played down here than the rest of the nation was. For some reason, we would like certain songs that just didn't make it other places. But I don't think it was anything any different than the rest of the country really was listening to too much extent.
Fair enough. And when you were first making music, you guys started and well, you started at Hialeah High. I remember I did some research and saw that there was a part of your guys' yearbook that was dedicated to talented musicians and whatnot. And how do you think in high school you were able to foster your talent and whatnot?
Well, I mean, I was really in the chorus department there in drama, so I just gravitated towards stuff that was of the arts, whether it was drawing, music, or like theater, acting stuff. I was just drawn to the arts for whatever. I just enjoyed any part that was associated with that, and uh, I, I again, I was in Hialeah, and I had all these dreams. I had no idea how do you get out of Hialeah to make this happen?
That's definitely something I can relate to. I
Right.
went to high school in Hialeah up until last year. I'm in first year in college now. And I remember like I would be in class and whatnot. And that I think the Hialeah has kind of like a lot of people are working very hard and whatnot, and a lot of
Right.
people are working to almost get out in Hialeah. But you stayed, well, you're Miami Lakes area, I've been
Right.
told. And what do you think has been the thing that makes you want to stay all this time?
I mean, I love the area. I love the vibe. I mean, it's just what I've known all my life. I'm comfortable here. And it's just I think Hialeah is kind of in the center of stuff, so it's close to everything, but away from everything if you want it to be. Close enough and far enough away.
That's fair enough. No, it is a beautiful place, honestly, and there's a lot of things going on there. It's a great community.
And it's
I would
changing, it's growing, there's just they're bringing a lot of life to it.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
big time. Yeah, I mean, I know like the things are popping up every time I go back there. I'm in Orlando right now, so
Oh wow.
whenever I go back home to visit, I'm like, "Oh, this wasn't here before."
I know.
It's quite fun.
It's hard to recognize anything. I mean, I could get lost easily.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something I've seen. And with that, TK Records is where you started, and that was in Hialeah, correct?
Yeah. It
And
was really it was almost I think at the edge of Hialeah really. It was almost like right where Okeechobee Road is and
yeah.
it was kind of back in there where Lejeune like Okeechobee kind of ended, I think. And it was just right back like 3 blocks off of right there at Okeechobee where it intersects with I mean Lejeune intersects with Okeechobee, close to the airport. It wasn't too far from the airport there, or pretty much like a few blocks away from where High Life Fronton is.
Hmm. And I think not too far also is they had the historic Hampton House, which is also quite a musical place nearby. You know, you saw the likes of Stevie Wonder coming through and whatnot, and that was throughout the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Do you think that that Motown influence was able to make its way into TK Records, therefore
Well,
influencing you?
we distributed all of the Motown records at the record distributors. We handled every record that came out of Motown. We distributed throughout the whole southeast of the United States and beyond that. I always had every record that came in, every promo record that came in from the new Motown songs. I remember the first time that Henry called me into the office and he says, "You got to listen to this." And they were playing me Superstition over the phone from Motown with Stevie Wonder singing it. And it was like, wow, this is incredible. Um, yeah, so yeah, I mean, I definitely have to think that Motown was a huge influence because I was just Motown everything. Just everything they put out, I love the Temptations, the Four Tops, the Supremes, Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell, just everything that they put out, no matter what it was just always just great and infectious and stuff. I mean, and there was other stuff that was coming out, the James Brown stuff, all the Atlantic stuff, and the Stax stuff with all the horns out of Memphis. But, it was definitely a huge influence on me for sure.
That's awesome. And something that like to think it was like almost a music lover's dream is that you can be in this area and at TK Records at the time being able to hear these new songs coming out before anyone else. And do you think that that type of connection to the industry was something that definitely helped you guys?
Well, I just wanted to, again, I had no idea what was going to happen, in my life. I know that I that I love music, and once I started working at the record store, and then from there to wholesale, I just knew that I wanted to learn everything about it. I worked in the promo department, I worked in sales, I worked in shipping. Um, as long as I was going to be around music, it wasn't going to matter to me, even if I became a teacher or something. I was just always going to be involved somehow in music and theater and that sort of stuff. So there's no question in my mind what I was going to do in life and what I was going to navigate towards. And I feel like if you have a passion that you put yourself within that passion. It's like if you can't be the football the if you can't be the quarterback on the football team, there's certainly uh, tons of jobs surrounding what goes into making a football game happen, like on the sidelines, whatever it is, just working at the stadium, just whatever it is and that's your passion. You're around your passion and you'll grow and you'll be much happier, you know, in what you do in life if you just put yourself, in the situations of something that you love and have a passion for.
And
And
that's
so,
an amazing.
so that's what I was kind of doing. I wanted to learn it all. I didn't matter. I mean, I did interviews like you're doing right now. I started managing artists. I started booking artists. I just started doing everything I could within that field, you know. not knowing where I would land, and then I mean it just happened that I mean, and I was there 5 years before, I wrote Rock Your Baby and it was a huge hit. I mean, I had some songs on the radio and stuff that I had co-written and I sang background on stuff and played on some stuff, but it was like 5 years once I got there before, I had my first big number 1 record as a writer. Not
And
not even as an artist, as a writer and a producer.
that's such an amazing mindset to have that, you went through those 5 years not knowing exactly where you would be in the industry, but knowing that you were going to be in the
Right.
industry. And do you
But
think there
know
was
that I was happy those whole 5 years too. I wasn't like, like, oh, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to this. I'm not going to that. I was happy. I was content, being there. I love the environment. You never knew one day James Brown would walk in, or Aretha Franklin might walk in, or Stevie Wonder might walk in, or who knows who was going to walk through the doors each day. So it was just always, exciting. I hung out there relentlessly, like as much as I could until nobody else would be there. Then I would go, and then that's when I would do things that I wanted to do for my personal self. My personal life became second to everything that I wanted to do.
and during that time, do you think that there was ever a time where you were like, oh, well, maybe I should look into doing this instead, or was it just straight music all the way?
No, it was straight music all the way. My mother had that idea, like you need to go get a job and make something of yourself. Well, so that's what I did. That's what I was doing, Mom. Whatever. But
Well, it's safe to say that I'm sure she was proud in the end.
yeah, yeah. I mean, again, I was surrounded by something that I loved doing, so I was content and happy no matter what it was. If I didn't become a huge star or whatever, I knew I was going to be involved somehow. I was already involved, and I was very happy and content in all the things that I was doing.
And during this time, I know you said you wanted to be in the industry no matter what, but did you have these ideas of stardom, or were you more in the sense where you thought it was going to be a bit more tame?
I don't know, I always had this really strong gut feeling that, I was going to be an entertainer. I mean, going through school, did you grow up in Miami?
Yeah, I grew up in Miami.
Well, I don't know, you're pretty young, but when I was younger, they used to make us fill out these 3x5 cards every year and you'd put your name, what you wanted to be, and always kept putting entertainer in the occupation box.
Same here.
So, and I was already kind of doing that. I mean, I did get into a local band for a minute there, and I was kind of the lead singer or whatever, and kind of doing stuff like that. And I would do shows from time to time, while I was at TK with one of the bands, Betty Wright, who would go out and she'd let me do a couple songs before she would come on and stuff. And then I did a few things, on my own and stuff. So I was doing some stuff like that. And I mean, all through school, I was in plays and, whenever they had the musical shows, I mean, I would do those and, sing at the dances that they would have and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was kind of something I was really always doing. I guess it was always in the back of my head, but I had to prepare myself, for whatever, just in case that never happened.
Of course. And you have a musical that came out that kind of goes over a little bit of this
Right.
growing up, or it came out in England. It was last
Right.
November, I believe it was, right?
Yes.
And that was about your growing up and before Casey and the Sunshine Band, more or less, right? It was centered around some friends.
Yeah, it was about three of my friends growing up here in Hialeah, and it's coming to America this year at some point.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, so I mean, it's in the development stage.
Okay,
So what it is they put it in. We started it. We ran one in Scotland, and then you see what the critics say. You see how the audience reacts, and then
of
you make
course.
changes. Then it just ran in London, and see what the critics say and what we changed stuff. And now we have to change it again and present it over here and stuff. And it's a huge process. I had no idea the different stages a musical goes to before it gets to Broadway or gets to wherever to the
Yeah,
West End. Yeah.
I've heard some good things about it, honestly, and I've
Yeah.
I went to England 3 days after it closed, and I was
Oh,
so
wow.
upset No,
Oh,
because I
wow.
had my tickets and I was like, oh, let me see if I can try and get them before, but I couldn't get out of class.
Oh,
I
wow.
really wanted to go see it, so I'm hoping it comes down here to Florida
Yeah.
at some
It,
point.
well, it'll be, it's a lot different than it was in England. It's going to be a lot different than it was in England. But yeah, it was exciting. It was actually an emotional trip for me because some of those people have passed on, and it kind of brings
Mm.
them back to life, and it brings all that period back to life. And so it was kind of an emotional journey for me each and every night to watch it and to be a part of it.
And that's beautiful that, at the something you're able to do with your legacy and whatnot is to
Right.
turn it into something that is so lively like a musical
Yeah.
and bring it into music, for example. And are the songs that are in the show, are they any of them originals or are they going to be stuff from the catalog?
There's 4 or 5 originals and some stuff that people have never heard of, but it's definitely a lot of stuff from the catalog. There's 22 songs in there altogether,
Okay.
so it's full of music.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
No,
it
yeah,
is.
that's amazing. And it was bright and colorful. I mean, I was really I'm telling you, I was so upset that I wasn't able to see it. I saw
Oh,
the
wow.
dates and I was like, "Oh." But I'm gonna definitely make sure it's a priority when it comes to America. Well, on that, well, speaking of like again, not to bring up Miami again, but you have kind of brought up, as I said in the intro, the Miami sound in a way. Miami was always a place where people would go play music, but it wasn't very much known as people to come up from here. So,
Right.
how important was that for you when you were starting the band?
Well, I mean, you have to understand. So one thing that happened is I really wasn't trying to start a band or anything. I just went and made this record, and then I just had to name it something. So I called it Casey and the Sunshine Junkanoo Band. And all I didn't, there was no band. I had just used musicians in the studio, and the guys that played on that record, the first record, were not the same guys that played on the records after that, you know. And so it wasn't until I was starting to have success as Casey and the Sunshine Band that I went to the second set of guys who I'd done stuff with and said, would you like to go out as the Sunshine Band, whatever. And so that's kind of how that all kind of came together. I was just I had the name of this band that didn't exist really. So it was it was kind of interesting. Like, okay, now you have to have a band to go out there and do this.
And these aren't simple songs. I mean, these are what 15-piece
Right.
bands sometimes. So
They are.
it's probably quite difficult to be able to get all these people
And, and,
together.
and the guys that played the horns on the records never went on the road. It was a different crew. So
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, it's
yeah.
just such a different,
The
it's
guys
such
you
a
see in
different
all the
concept.
videos never played on any of the records, the horn players.
That's great. Honestly, though, but like that brings a lot to the point where I mean, just thinking about how big that music was, it
Right.
must have been a rotating band in general. How did you have to deal with the changes of band that would happen quite often? And was
Well,
that an adaptation?
that didn't change too much until like 1979, really 4 years later or whatever. Um, I mean, the band still has a revolving door situation happen at times because people come in and then they decide they want to do something else and they move on. And we just replace them. Um, you know, it's not always easy because then you have to, it's interesting to always watch somebody's come in and audition and their interpretation of what they think the sound is, and it's like, no, let me teach you. So, and we're constantly, uh, reverting back to the original songs to make sure that we're capturing as much of the original grooves or parts as possible. We don't have those tapes anymore where we could break it down and say, here's exactly how the guitar part goes. But with today's technology, I think you can pull anything out of anything and just separate it, which is pretty interesting. And I think some of the guys have done that a few times. But yeah, I mean, that process is all like auditions and people that know people and stuff. Like my percussionist is just the Furman who joined me. I known him like he's from Hialeah, and I've known him since he was 16. And but it wasn't until 1976 that I needed a percussionist, and I said, "Hey, why don't you come join the group here?" So, but he's been sick recently. We had to bring in some percussionists, and it's really hard because we've had not a whole lot of notice, and there's a lot of parts and stuff, and you know, it's not easy. I mean, a lot of people come and think, oh, this, and they get in there, oh, this wasn't, it's not so easy, is it?
And it's quite a long tour because I've been seeing
Oh,
that.
it's all year long. I don't really go out and I just do weekends. I really don't go out and do, stuff and that much and like 60 days out and stuff like that. I
Oh
just do
yeah.
weekends and I spread it out throughout the year 'cause I got to take my breaks, in January, June and stuff.
Do you have a favorite place to go that when you ever go there, you go and like tour a little bit or yeah.
A favorite place to tour or
Like yeah, a favorite place to stop on one of your tours.
I mean, I enjoy every place. I mean, we don't have a lot of time when we're out there sometimes, Sometimes if it's an interesting place, I might want to stay a couple of days. But I like to separate that. I mean, I love going to Hawaii. I love going to the Bahamas and stuff and just chilling out. I try to separate that part from my personal life as much as possible.
Oh, of course. And with that, do you think that there's like any different crowd reactions, such as is the Miami reaction louder or bigger than the one you might get somewhere else?
I mean, every place is a little different. Um, some are a little bit more reserved and some are a little bit more out there. Some are even more out there than Miami would be, believe it or not. But I don't know. I don't know what causes that. I don't know if it's the geographical location of where the places are, or if it's the venue and how the venue, some of the venues have all these always want to make everybody sit down and do this. So I think some people get a little, or a little not sure what they should do, you know what I mean? Because they don't want to cause a scene or cause a reaction, or they've tried it before and they were told to sit down or whatever. So you never know what's going to happen. I just hope, want everybody to come and have a good time, and you should realize people are going to stand up. So if you come and you think you're going to sit, there might be somebody standing in front of you. You know what I mean? So uh, just come and have a good time and stand up with them.
Now, I know that one thing that you like to do quite a bit is interact with your audience, whether
Right.
it's talking to them. I've seen you do a little bit of a almost stand up at sometimes, which is really awesome. Actually, I was looking at a lot of the shows and I just love that part, honestly. Is there any band or new artist that you would like to be the audience for and that you've seen upcoming and you've been like, oh, well, this is something that they remind me of, they remind you of them yourself.
Well, I go to a lot of shows. I just bought tickets to go see Bruno Mars. I mean, he's just such a
Oh, he's
great
great. Yeah.
entertainer. So, I mean, I go to see a lot of stuff. I mean, I love country music too. So, you know, um, I just saw Coldplay. They were amazing. I've got tickets to see Ed Sheeran in October. I like to go to shows. It's just another connection for me of what I like to do, and maybe I learned something from it too. And it's always just interesting to see how each show is presented and that sort of stuff. I mean, I go to see as many shows as I can that don't interfere with my schedule. There's a few people I've been trying to see, and damn it, I get booked, when they're going to be here. So, but I got to go do my thing too.
And that's awesome that you do that. Well, I know you don't have much time, so I'll leave you this question. Um, is there, what would you say to someone who is in Hialeah right now, wanting to make it big, wanting to go and be their own trailblazer, who is in a similar situation like yourself, that you think would be a good words of motivation?
I mean, I don't know. It's a different world out there. There's you have much more outlets available to you now with Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all these sort of things that you can do and bypass all the red tape and the bullshit people that really that have put these companies, and really I don't know how they end up signing certain people, because I'm certain a lot of people that you've heard stories all along throughout history that they went to sign with a label, they were turned down, and then they went to somewhere else and they became huge. I just always try to tell people follow your heart. A lot of those things I was telling you, if you love doing what you're doing, if you love, if it's football, if it's baseball, if it's journalism, whatever, put yourself into that somehow. If you can't be on the TV doing the news, work at the TV station. You know what I mean? Just if that's what you like, and figure out how to, and be around something that you love a lot. So but always follow your dreams and follow your heart. And, it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of time. And, you got to forget about wanting to go to the party sometimes. You got to look at what your dream is and put yourself into that dream. The party can wait.
Oh, and I love that. I mean, just following dreams and whatnot, and
Yeah,
making sure you don't limit yourself ever, and understanding that you could be in an industry even if it's not meant to be in one place, it's meant to be in another. And I love that,
right.
and that's what I'm doing here, as you said earlier with the interviewing, how you started and whatnot. And I honestly, I mean, you're a huge influence to me. From growing up in Miami, I've always heard your songs, and then I remember my family. It was playing your songs at some point, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's from Miami." I'm like, "He's from Miami," and we found out you're like 5 minutes down the road from us because
Oh,
we lived
wow.
in Royal Oaks
Oh,
in
yeah,
Miami
you're right.
Lakes.
You're right over
Yeah,
there.
so I was like right there. I'm like, "What?" So
Right?
that was always something quite funny, I thought. But that I'll tell you, yeah, that was just
Yeah,
really
I'm like
strange.
just on, where the big palmetto curves.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just right on the other side of that, on the inside of there.
Yeah, so just across the highway there. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's hysterical. Well, I'll let you go now, but
All right,
I
man.
very much thank you for this
Thank
interview. It
you.
means a lot to me.
Thank you,
And
man.
yeah.